So my boyfriend, let's call him Evans, invited me to his boss's baby naming ceremony. He works as a sales boy in a shop. I don't really know his boss that well. Sometimes when I go to pick Evans up from work at night, I see her and I just say a quick good evening and that is it. The ceremony was taking place at her house. When we got there, as Madam was rushing, she explained that the church blessing for the baby was happening first, and then everyone would come back to the house for the party. But there was a problem. She told me and Evans that her husband, let's call him Mr. John, was very sick. He had a bad fever that morning and couldn't go to church. He was sleeping upstairs in their bedroom. She looked at us and said, "Please, can you two do me a big favor? Stay here and watch the house. All the food and drinks for the party are here. And if my husband calls for anything, please help him." Evans immediately said yes. He really respects his boss and wanted to impress her. I just nodded. What else could I see? So just like that, she and her whole family left for church. It was just me and Evans in this big quiet house. After about 30 minutes, we heard a cough from the stairs. It was Mr. John. He came down slowly, wearing a bathrobe. He looked a little pale, but he didn't look as sick as his wife said. He greeted us and then he turned to Evans. "Evans, I need a big favor. There is a small package I need delivered to my business partner in the next town. It is very urgent. His shop will close soon. Can you take it for me? I will give you extra money for transport." Evans looked at me, then back at his boss's husband. He couldn't say no. This was his chance to show he was reliable. "Of course, sir, no problem," he said quickly. Mr. John gave him a small wrapped box and some money for a taxi. "Go quickly," he said. Evans gave me a small smile and said, "I won't be long." Then he left. The front gate closed behind him, and the house became very, very quiet. I was now completely alone in this big house with a man I barely knew. I felt a little uncomfortable, but I just sat down, picked up my phone, and started scrolling through TikTok. Then I heard his voice from upstairs. "Young lady, can you come here, please?" I thought maybe he needed more water or his medicine. I walked slowly up the stairs and stood at the door of the big bedroom. He was sitting on the edge of the bed. "Please, can you bring me a bottle of water from the fridge?" he asked. He sounded normal, not sick at all. "Okay," I said, relieved. I rushed downstairs, got a cold bottle of water, and brought it back to him. I handed it to him, wanting to leave immediately. But as I gave him the bottle, his hand closed around mine, not just on the bottle, but on my hand, and his grip was strong. He wasn't looking at the water, he was staring straight into my eyes. What are you doing?" I finally managed to say, and I tried to pull my hand away. He didn't let go. Instead, he started moving his thumb, stroking my arm slowly, up and down. Fear shot through me immediately. "Stop it. Please, let me go," I said, my voice shaking. He hesitated for a few seconds, his eyes still locked on mine, and then he finally released my hand. I turned around quickly, my whole body trembling, and hurried towards the door. I just wanted to get out of that room. But just as I reached the doorway, he spoke again. His voice was low. "See." I shouldn't have, but I stopped and turned my head. He was holding up a huge wad of cash. It was so thick. I had never seen so much money in one place in my entire life. "Plenty money," he said, waving it slowly. "I will give it all to you. Just let me do it. No one will ever know." My feet felt like they were glued to the floor. I was still scared, but now a different feeling was mixing with the fear. The money was right there. It was real. He was offering it to me. What was I going to do? Money. The word was just ringing in my head. Money, money, money. It has always been my biggest weakness, my biggest problem. I needed it. I wanted it so badly. It felt like a physical ache in my stomach. And there he was, sitting on that bed, holding the answer to so many of my problems right in his hand. That thick wad of cash. It felt like he wasn't just waving money. He was waving a different life in front of my face. I will give you this and more, he said, his voice calm, like he was offering me a cup of tea. Just do what I want. It will be quick. No one has to know. It will be our little secret. I hesitated. My whole body was shaking. This was wrong. So wrong. Evans could come back any minute. This was his boss's husband. A million thoughts were screaming in my head, telling me to run. But then I looked at that money again. I thought about my life. I thought about the 500 cedis I struggled to earn every month. He saw me hesitating. His eyes narrowed a little. Do you want it or not? He asked, his voice a little sharper. I don't have all day. That pushed me. The choice was right there. Take the money and do this terrible thing, or walk away and go back to my same struggling life. I inhaled deeply. I closed my eyes for a second. Then I took a step forward. Welcome back to my channel, and I hope you are doing great today. If you are new here, I'm Vera, but you can call me V. And I share real life stories that will shock you, break your heart, inspire you, and sometimes make you laugh. So if this is something you love, please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Today's shout out goes to Harriet Osei Mensah, Osayi Bomo, and Rashid Bello M5W. They were the first people to comment on my last video. Thank you so much for the support, babe. You know I love you. And without any further delay, let's continue the story. Then I took a step forward, and then another. I walked towards him. I didn't look at his face. I just looked at the bed. He didn't say anything else. He just put the money on the bedside table. He opened the drawer and took out a condom. And right there in his bed, while his wife and new baby were at church, he had his way with me. I didn't make a sound. I just lay there and let it happen. My mind was far away, thinking about that stack of money on the table. When it was over, I was pulling my clothes back on, my fingers fumbling with the buttons when I heard the sound I had been dreading. The main gate outside creaked open. Evans was back. Panic exploded in my chest. I rushed to finish dressing. As I turned to run out of the room, Mr. John picked up the money from the table and pressed it into my hand. Before I left his room, he stopped me. Your number, he said. Give me your number. My hands were still shaking. I didn't want to, but I felt like I had no choice. I had already taken the money. What was refusing my number now? So I told him. I couldn't even look him in the eye. I felt so cheap. I didn't look back. I flew down the stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. Evans was just walking through the front door. I am back, he said, smiling. That was fast, wasn't it? I forced a smile. Yes, very, very fast, I said. My voice sounding strange to my own ears. I quickly walked past him and shoved the wad of cash deep into my bag, hiding it under my other things. Later that night, when I was alone, I counted it. 3,000 cedis. It was more money than I had ever held in my life. It was enough to pay for 6 months of my small salary. But as I stared at it, all I felt was empty. I felt like shit. The money felt dirty in my hands. I had sold a piece of myself, and I didn't know if I could ever get it back. To understand why I did what I did, you need to know about me and Evans. I met him 3 years ago. I was at the beach with some friends, just sitting on the sand and watching the waves. He walked up to me. It wasn't flashy or trying to be smooth. It was just nice. He said hello, and we started talking. He asked for my number, and I gave it to him. We talked every day after that. He became my best friend. A month later, we started dating. At that time, my life at home was very difficult. I was living with my dad and my stepmom. There was no peace in that house. My stepmom always found a reason to shout at me, to complain about me. My dad, he just stayed quiet. He never stood up for me. It was like I was a ghost in my own home. Evans was my escape. He was so caring. He didn't have much money. He was just a sales boy then too. But he shared everything with me. If he had just enough money for one plate of food, he would make sure I ate most of it. He made me feel seen. He made me feel loved. Then 3 months into our relationship, my dad died. It was sudden. My life shattered. After we buried him, things at home went from bad to worse. My stepmom didn't even pretend to want me there anymore. Just 1 month after my dad's funeral, she told me to get out. She said I was a burden and she wasn't going to waste her money feeding another woman's child. I had no one, no mother, no father, no money. I called Evans crying. I had nowhere to go. He didn't even hesitate. He was still living with his own mother, but he said, "Come, you will stay with me." I will never ever take for granted what he did for me. He saved me. He gave me a roof when I had nothing. I packed my small bag and moved into his room in his mother's house. And that is when I met my new problem, his mom. From the very first day I stepped into her house, Ivan's mother hated me. She never even tried to hide it. She said her son was too young to be taking care of a strange woman. She said I was a distraction and that he should be focusing on his future. She made it very, very clear that I was not welcome. She would cook food and sometimes forget to make enough for me. She would make loud comments about how some girls are cheap and just look for a man to use. "Look at her," she would say to Evans, not caring if I was in the room. "She has nothing. She's just using you for food and shelter. She will suck you dry and then leave you." It was hell. Every single day was a battle. She tried to throw me out so many times, I lost count. She would shout and scream, telling me to get my things and get out of her house. But Evans was my rock. Every single time he stood beside me. He would stand in front of me and tell his mother, if she leaves, then I am living with her. She has nowhere to go. I love her and she's staying with me. He was her only son, a precious boy. She couldn't bear the thought of him leaving, so she would back down. But the anger and resentment would just grow bigger. I had to swallow her insults every day because I truly had no other options. Where would I go? Through all of this, Evans never changed. He stuck by my side. He shared the little money he got from the shop with me. He saw how hard it was for me to find a job with no real skills. After a few months of me just sitting in the room all day, he did an amazing thing. He used a small savings to pay for me to start training under a local seamstress. He believed in me. For over a year, I learned how to sew and make clothes. It was hard work, but it gave me hope. When I finished my training, I started working for the seamstress, my madam. She pays me 500 cedis every month. It was my own money. I felt so proud the first time I got paid. But 500 cedis is not a lot. It is enough to help Evans with small things, but it is not enough to change our lives. It is not enough to rent our own place and escape his mother. I started wanting more. I needed more. The dream of a peaceful life in our own small room felt so close, but still so far away. Every day in that stressful house made the desire for more money burn inside me. I know Evans tries for me. I see it every single day. He wakes up early, goes to the shop, and stands on his feet all day, trying to sell things to people. He comes home tired, but he always has a smile for me. At night, when we are lying in bed, he holds me close and he tells me about his dreams. He whispers, "Soon I will save enough to rent a small place for us, just you and me. No more noise, no more fighting." He tells me, "I will open a shop for you. A proper shop with your name on it. You are so talented. Everyone will come to you for their clothes." He says, "I promise, I will make sure you have everything your heart desires." He says a lot of things, and I believe that he means them. His heart is in the right place. He works so hard, but the truth is, nothing seems to work for him. A big bill comes up. His mother needs money for something. The shop sales are low. Something always happens. Our small savings disappear before they can grow. We have been together for years, and we have not even saved 200 cedis. It feels like we are running in one place, working so hard, but never moving forward. I keep waiting and waiting. The dream of my own shop starts to feel like a children's story. The idea of moving out of his mother's house feels like a fantasy. I just want peace of mind. I want to come home to a place where I am wanted. I want to be able to plan for tomorrow without feeling like a heavy stone is sitting on my chest. So when you judge me for what I did with Mr. John, please try to understand. In that moment, when he waved that thick wad of cash, it wasn't just money. It felt like a key. It felt like the answer to all our problems. It felt like a promise for a better life for both me and Evans. It was a chance to make all of Evans' beautiful promise come true fast. I saw a shortcut out of our suffering, and my weak self, my desperate self, reached for it. 2 days after I slept with Mr. John, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't know, but I knew it was him. I answered, "Hello." It was Mr. John. He didn't say hello. He just gave me the name of a hotel in the next town and a room number. "Be there by 7 p.m., he said, and then he hung up. No please, no questions, just an order. I felt so scared. I was betraying the only person who had ever truly been there for me. The person who took me in when I had nothing. I hated myself for what I had already done. I felt dirty. A new thought started to grow in my mind, pushing the guilt aside. I was doing this for us, for our future. I was sacrificing my own body, my own comfort, for the man I loved. I would get enough money to rent a small place for me and Evans. I would get enough to start my own shop. I could even get money for Evans to go back to school, like he always talked about. I was not a bad person. I was a sacrificer. I was strong. I was bearing this shame so that we could have a better life. That was the story I told myself. It was the only way I could calm the storm of guilt and fear inside me. I was doing it for us. That evening, I lied to Evans. I told him my madam needed me to work late to finish some urgent clothes. He said okay and told me to be careful coming home. I felt like the worst person in the world. I left my madam's shop at 6 p.m., but I didn't go home. I took a taxi to the next town, to the hotel Mr. John told me about. My heart was beating like a drum. I found a room and knocked softly. He opened the door. He was already naked. I felt sick to my stomach. He was just standing there, not even ashamed. I walked into the room and just stopped in the middle of the floor. I didn't know what to do. My body felt stuck. Should I run away or should I go to him? He didn't say a word. He just walked towards me. I was frozen. I couldn't move. Without speaking, he started to undress me. His hands were cold. I couldn't even object. I just stood there like a statue, my mind screaming at my body to move, to push him away. But nothing happened. He pulled me to the bed. And just like that, he was on top of me, sleeping with me again. I closed my eyes tight. I couldn't look at his face. I tried to pretend I was somewhere else, far away. Then, in the middle of it, I felt his hand around my neck. At first, I thought it was nothing, but then he squeezed. He was choking me. I couldn't breathe. My eyes flew open in a panic. I looked at him. He was smiling. He was enjoying hurting me. I tried to push him away, but he was stronger. He finally let go of my neck after a few seconds. I tried to breathe, my whole body shaking. He didn't stop what he was doing, oh. He just continued going up and down, still continued sleeping with me, like that horrible moment had never happened. I was too scared to move, too scared to make a sound. I just lay there, trying to breathe. When he finished, he rolled off and said, "Sorry." I don't know what came over me. His voice was flat. I knew he didn't mean it. I had seen the smile on his face. I had seen the pleasure in his eyes. He told me to put my head on his chest. I didn't want to, but I was too frightened to disobey. I rested my head there, and he started stroking my hair like I was a small child. My throat hurt. My whole body was still trembling. In my mind, I was screaming, "Never again. This is it. I am never doing this again. No amount of money is worth this." But then he moved. He reached over to his bag on the floor. He brought out a stack of money. The sight of it made my heart jump, even though I was still shaking. He asked me, "What do you want to do with your life?" I want my own place, I whispered, and my own shop. He nodded, still stroking my head. "Stick with me," he said softly. "Be a good girl and stick with me. You will get everything you want and more. He placed the money on the bed beside me. I looked at it. The notes were crisp and clean. They promised a way out. They promised peace. They promised that all this fear and pain will not be for nothing. The sight of the money changed my mind again. The promise of more drowned out the voice in my head that was screaming, never again. I told myself that the choking was just a mistake, a moment of passion he couldn't control. I told myself I could handle it. I just had to be strong for a little while longer. On my way home in the taxi, I tried to calm myself down. I told myself maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he didn't mean to hurt me. Why would he intentionally harm me? He needs me to be quiet, not to cause problems. I tried to convince myself that the evil smile I saw was just in my head, a trick of the shadows in that dark hotel room. I counted the money he gave me, 1,500 cedis. Together with the first 3,000, that was 4,500 cedis. It was a fortune. I told myself to just hold on for a little bit longer. I just needed to see him a few more times. I will soon have enough money to rent a place and start my shop, and then I would disappear. I would never have to see him again. This pain was temporary. I stopped at a pharmacy and bought some pain medicine for my throat and my body. As I walked home, I passed by the shop where Evans worked. I saw Mr. John's wife standing outside. She was holding their newborn baby, smiling and showing the baby to a customer. My heart sank. A wave of guilt washed over me. I had just been with her husband. I looked at her happy face and I felt like the worst person in the world. But I quickly pushed the feeling down. I told myself again, this is temporary. I am doing this to survive. I am doing this for Evans and me. The next morning, when I woke up, the reality of what happened was written on my skin. I am light-skinned, so bruises and marks show very easily. There were clear red marks all around my neck where his hand had been. Evans saw them immediately. His hands went wide with shock and worry. What happened to your neck? He asked, his voice filled with fear. My mind raced. I had to lie. I had to protect the terrible secret. I touched my neck and tried to look embarrassed. It is so stupid, I said, forcing a small laugh. You know that necklace you bought me? I wore it yesterday, and the chain broke while I was at work. I tried to fix it, but I pulled it too hard. It left these stupid marks. I looked down. I couldn't meet his eyes. I prayed he would believe me. He just said sorry. Then he hugged me and kissed my head. A few weeks later, Mr. John called again. He told me to meet him at a different hotel. I was nervous, remembering the last time. But this time, it was completely different. He was very gentle with me in bed. After we were together, he didn't rush me out. He actually talked to me. He asked about my family, where I learned to sew, what my dreams were. He was gentle, almost kind. He listened like he was actually interested. I told myself that I must have imagined that evil smile and the choking. That man was gone. This was the real Mr. John. Maybe he felt bad for what he did. Maybe he wanted to be nice now. I started to feel a little less scared. When I was leaving, he gave me another 1,500 CDs. He told me, I will call you when I need you. Do not ever call me. Then I left. After that, I didn't hear from him for weeks. The silence was strange. Part of me was relieved, but another part of me was restless. I looked at the money I had saved. It was a lot, but it wasn't enough yet. I wanted more, and I wanted it fast. Every day that he didn't call was a day I wasn't closer to my own shop, to moving out. Then my phone rang. It was him. He didn't waste time. I have a business meeting in another region this weekend. I want you to come with me. We will leave Friday and come back Sunday. My heart stopped. A whole weekend? How could I possibly explain a whole weekend away to Evans? It was too risky. Someone could see us. It felt like a very big step into something even more dangerous. I don't know, I stammered. He cut me off. I will give you 6,000 cedis, cash, and I will take you shopping for anything you want. His voice was smooth. I can go with anyone I want, but I want it to be you. That was all it took. 6,000 cedis. That was more money than I made in a whole year at the sewing shop, plus free shopping. My fear and doubts melted away, replaced by a greedy excitement. This one weekend could change everything for me and Evans. Okay, I heard myself say, I will go. Now I had to lie to Evans, a big lie. I told him my grandmother in the village was very sick. I said I needed to go see her for the weekend. He believed me immediately. He even gave me 100 cedis from his small savings for transport, telling me to buy something for my grandmother. Taking that money from him felt like stealing. I felt so bad for lying, but I told myself I had to do what I had to do. This was for us. Mr. John had made it very clear that no one could know he was on this trip with me, as if I could tell anyone. I met him 2 towns away, at a quiet bus station. He was already there, waiting in his car. He looked very excited. As we started driving, he told me all about the wonderful things he had planned for us. He talked about a nice hotel with a swimming pool, about restaurants, and the shopping we would do. I just nodded and smiled a small faint smile. But in my head, I felt nothing about this trip. I didn't care about the pool or the restaurants. I didn't want to be with him. I didn't even really see him. All I could see was the money, the 6,000 cedis waiting for me at the end of days. That was the only thing that mattered. I was so focused on the money that I didn't see the signs. I couldn't see that his excitement felt strange, almost nervous. I was walking straight into a huge nightmare, and I had no idea. The first red flag happened when we got close to the hotel. Instead of driving us in, he stopped the car a few streets away. He turned to me and said, "You see, some of my business friends are staying at the same hotel, and they know my wife. It would be very bad if they saw us together. So I will go in first. The room is already booked. You wait here for 10 minutes, then come straight to room 214. Don't talk to anyone." My heart sank a little. In my mind, I was confused. I thought this man said we will go shopping together, swim together. Now, he doesn't even want to be seen walking into the same building with me. It made me feel cheap and secret, like a dirty thing he had to hide. But I needed the money. So I just nodded and said nothing. I waited, counting the minutes. Then I walked to the hotel, found room 214 and knocked. He opened the door, pulled me inside quickly, and then I heard the click of the lock behind me. He actually took the key and put it in his pocket. That was strange. Why lock us in from the inside and keep the key? A cold feeling of fear started to creep up my spine. But I told myself I was being silly. I didn't even have time to put my bag down. The moment the door was locked, his mood changed completely. The man from the car was gone. He pushed me against the wall and started taking off my clothes. He was not gentle at all. He was very, very rough. "Wait, please take your time," I said, my voice shaking. He didn't listen. He just pushed me harder against the wall, and I felt a sharp pain in my ribs as I hit the hard surface. Then he just had his way with me right there. I was stunned. I was not expecting that so suddenly. I didn't say anything. I just shut down. When he was done, he acted like nothing happened. He asked me if I wanted to eat. I just nodded because I couldn't speak. Without asking me what I wanted, he called room service and ordered food. Then he said, "And bring a bottle of your red wine first. Just leave everything at the door." I went into the bathroom feeling dazed. My whole body was sore. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a dark bruise already forming on my waist from where he had pushed me against the wall. I stared at it. This man was like two different people. One minute, he was talking gently about my dreams. The next, he was treating me like I was nothing. He had been too rough. But I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Bear it, just for the weekend, 2 more days, and then you get your 6,000 cedis. You can do this." I took a bath, trying to wash the feelings of his hands off me. When I came out of the bathroom, the food and wine had been delivered. The wine bottle was open. He had already poured a glass for himself and one for me. He was drinking his. "Sit," he said, pointing to the glass. drink and relax. I sat down. He started asking me many questions, silly questions really, about the weather, about movies, about things I like to eat. At the time, it didn't click in my mind that he was just trying to distract me. He was talking too much, too fast. I remembered I needed to call Evans. He would be worried I hadn't called since I arrived in the village. I reached for my phone, which was on the small table next to my chair. But as my fingers touched it, his hand shot out and snatched it away. I looked at him, completely surprised. What are you doing? Give me my phone, I said. I was about to stand up and ask again when a wave of dizziness hit me. The whole room seemed to tilt. My head felt heavy. I tried to focus on his face, but it was blurry. That is when I understood the wine. He had poured my glass before I came out of the bathroom. He had dragged me. That was my last clear thought before everything went black. I don't know how long I was out. I woke up because I couldn't breathe. Something was squeezing my throat, cutting off my air. My chest felt like a heavy stone was crushing it. I opened my eyes and it was him. He was on top of me, going up and down, and he was smiling that same evil smile I saw before. His hands were tight around my neck. I tried to struggle, to push him off, but my body was weak and heavy from the drag. I couldn't scream. I could only make a weak choking sound. I looked into his eyes and I knew he was not going to stop this time. This man was going to kill me right here in this hotel room. This is it, I thought. I am going to die. My hands were flailing, pushing weakly at him. Then my fingers brushed against something solid and heavy on the bedside table. It was a heavy glass ashtray. I don't know where the strength came from, but my fingers closed around it. With the very last bit of life in me, I lifted my arm and swung it. I hit him as hard as I could on the side of his head. He made a grunting sound of surprise, and his hands let go of my neck for a second. I gasped for air, and with a scream I didn't know I had in me, I hit him again. This time, he fell off me, collapsing onto the bed beside me. I didn't wait to see if he was moving. I scrambled off the bed. My body was screaming in pain, and my throat was on fire. I don't even remember how I did it. I found my clothes and pulled them on with shaking hands. I grabbed my bag and my phone from the table. My eyes scanned the room. His trousers were on a chair. I rushed over and felt in the pocket. There was only a single 200 cedis note. I took it. It was nothing compared to what he promised, but I needed to get home. I unlocked the door and ran. I didn't look back. I ran down the hallway, down the stairs, and out into the street. I found a taxi and got in. The whole way home, I cried. I cried from the pain, from the fear, and from the shame. I had almost died for 200 CDs. I was sure I had killed him. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him falling onto that bed. I blocked his number on my phone. I was terrified of the police coming for me. When I finally got home that night, I walked through the door and saw Evans. I didn't say a word. I just ran to him and hugged him as tight as I could. I buried my face in his chest and sobbed. It was my whole world, the only good thing in my life. How could I have done what I did to him? How could I have betrayed him for money? He was shocked. He held me and asked me over and over again, what is wrong? What happened? Why are you crying like this? I couldn't tell him the truth. I just couldn't. So I lied again. I showed him the bruises on my arms and my side. I told him I was in a car accident on the way back from the village. I said the car swerved and I was thrown around. I cried and said I was so scared. He believed me. His face was full of worry. He didn't ask any more questions. He boiled a big pot of hot water for me to bath. He made me tea. That night, he held me close until I fell asleep, making sure I was safe. I deeply, deeply regret ever getting involved with that man. A few weeks later, I saw Mr. John. He was alive. He was getting out of his car near his wife's shop. There was a small bandage on his head. He saw me, and our eyes met for a second. Then he looked away like I was a stranger. I did the same. I don't know if I am happy he's alive or not. Part of me thinks the world would be better without him. I know he wanted to kill me that day. He is a wicked, wicked man. Sometimes I get so angry. I wish I could stand in the middle of the street and tell everyone, his wife, his friends, what he tried to do to me. But I can't. If I tell them, I would have to tell them everything. I would have to tell Evans. I would lose everything. So I stay quiet. I have decided to change. No more shortcuts. I will do it small, small. I will stay with the man who truly loves me. And we will hustle together. We will save our money little by little. We will make it on our own, the right way. I learned a hard lesson. Easy and free things come with a terrible cost, a cost that almost took my life. Sometimes I lie awake at night, scared. I am so scared that Evans will find out what I did. I don't know what I would do if he ever finds out and left me. The thought breaks my heart. But I promise myself this. I will never, ever do something like that again. Never. Hey. How can you betray a man who loves you like this? I'm trying not to judge, but sometimes the story say you almost paid with your life. What you did was so selfish. From everything you've described, this Evans is a good man. He loves you. And babe, really pray that Evans doesn't find out. Because if he does, he will leave you and you will lose a good man. Please do better, and I hope you've really learned from this. And babe, are you sure if you see another man with more money, it won't change your mind again? Do better. Let me hear your thoughts down below. What do you think about this story? And now, I bet you know that this is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And if you've not subscribed yet, please subscribe and like this video. Come and join the family. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.